All right, guys, so on the birthday cruise this year, we were beating on the Chevelle a little bit, and the motor developed a knocking sound. Not like a rod knock where it's all the time down low. Could still be a rod knock, but it seems like it only happens, you know, above 2,000 RPM you can hear it. So, hoping maybe it's a rocker. So we're gonna go ahead and pull that valve cover off real quick and see if there's anything that is noticeably broken under there. But let's give it a start and you can hear the sound. So yeah, I don't know what that sound is or where it's coming from. Kind of sounds like a rattle in the top half. So we're gonna just pull the valve covers off real quick and see what's underneath there. So. Well, everything looks pretty good on this end. I don't know. I guess maybe we drain the oil and see what the oil looks like. All right, we got a nice clean oil pan. We're gonna drain all the oil out and look for metal shavings or bearing material or rollers from a rocker or whatever, God knows what, but we're gonna see if there's anything in the oil pan. Gonna keep our fingers crossed that there's not, but I'm not too hopeful. Right off the bat, that doesn't look great to see all that metal in there. Well, I'd say that's not very good. Looks like I got a gold pan here. Nice big flakes in there. I'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 100, maybe. Nice big flakes. If this is a pan of gold, I'd be rich. But it's a pan of bearing material, unfortunately, so looks like the motor's coming out. That's gay. Look at it, it's all in there. Oh. That is so bloody sad. So it'll be interesting to see what's spun. Okay, well I probably should have done that the other way around. I don't know, I've never cut an oil filter, but yeah, it looks like some sweet metallic paint. Pretty cool looking, actually. Looks like it'd be an awesome epoxy floor with like a swirl in there with some gold flake. Yeah, a lot of chunks of metal in there, so looks like we're pulling the motor. All right, guys, got the blower ready to come off. Got everything disconnected from it, all the fuel lines and wiring connectors. Got the top hat off, got the coolant drained out of it. This is a heavy bitch, so my goal is, being here doing this by myself tonight, hopefully I can pick it up and set it on this piece of foam and then walk around and take it to the bench, because she's a heavy girl. So that's the goal right now, to see if I can do this. I'm gonna struggle with it. Alright guys, we've been slaving away for a couple hours here probably. Got the heavy bitch off, the damn old supercharger. That thing weighs a ton. Got the headers out. Got the, yeah, she's pretty much ready to come out. Got to do the motor mounts, and I think I have 3 or 4 more bell housing bolts to get off. And then I got to pull the alternator off, but it's getting to be bedtime, so we're going to yank this thing out tomorrow. Got to take the hood off, can't do that by myself. So we'll get it yanked out tomorrow and get it pulled apart and see what the hell we did to this thing, because I'm curious. I really wished that I was working on this thing, but yeah, instead we're working on that thing. Look at that. Look at all that horsepower just sitting there. Oof. All the plugs did look good. You can definitely tell that cylinder 6, the exhaust gasket leak, but that was actually on cylinder 8. So it was all blowing right across. See if I can pull this up here. There is no material left on either side of that gasket. So it was coming from 8 and blowing on 6. All right, guys, we got the motor ready to come out. I think, I hope. We're gonna see. Got that motor mount bolt out. Gonna take that one out and put a little jack to it. Everything inside the motor so far looks fantastic. Go ahead and pull these trays out and pull the lifters out, see what the cam looks like. See what the roller or the lifters look like, but everything's really pretty good. A little carbony, but not too bad really. So hopefully the block's not toast. Okay, so we got the motor over on a stand. Had to go borrow one from the old man. Surprisingly, he had one. So pulled the pickup tube off. It was full of shavings and junk. Look down there in the sump. Got a bunch of Jeep down there, so that's not good. Pull the windage tray off. So far on a visual, nothing looks like it's really cooked and got real hot, so that's promising, I suppose. So let's go ahead and probably start popping some main caps and see, because I'm leaning towards a main. That one, if I had to guess. I don't know. We'll see. So we're going to start busting this thing apart and figuring out what spun, because there is bearing material in here. Could have been a cam bearing, I suppose, too. I did get a balancer pulley puller, so we'll go ahead and get this pulled off too. We can pull the cam out and check those cam bearings. Either way, something spun, something's full of metal. Shot it all in the motor, so yeah, bud. That's a bummer. But hey, we'll get her pulled apart, figure out the problem, and we will solve it, because that's what we do. We solve problems around here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have checked all the main bearings. They are all in great shape. This is a lot harder to do with one hand than one would think. Let's see, told you. It's difficult. We're going to dump all the shit out, but all the main bearings are good. I'll show you the last one just so you believe me. Did not spin a main bearing. Started popping the caps off. That guy's good, that guy's good. This guy is, uh-oh, that doesn't look good. There's no bearing left on this one. That bearing is spun. And we have spun a bearing, and let's see, this is going to be the passenger side 1, 2, bearing number 3. No, sorry, passenger side. 2, 4, 6. Bearing number 6 has spun. We have found the culprit to the metal in the bottom of the oil pan. We found the problem. It was cylinder 6 rod spun, and it's kind of crazy. I've never seen a rod spin like this. It actually fused itself into one piece when it overlapped and stretched itself out. So there's not a lot of damage to the crank. I think the crank probably can be saved. So, okay guys, so I went and actually rented this one from Riley's, and it is a Chrysler harmonic balancer pulley, part number 67005. It was about 80 bucks to rent it. I think it's got a 90-day rental on it. If I don't return it, I buy it. I don't think I'm gonna buy this one from Riley's, but I will be buying one of these, and I will post a link below to the exact same puller that I will be purchasing. The only difference, or the only thing we had to do, was modify the crank pulley bolt so that it could let the pulley slide off over it. So this is a tool, if you're going to be doing any LS based stuff, pulling the balancer off, you got to have one of these. This will be something that I'm putting in my toolbox because it made this so easy. Buzz that thing off in a matter of seconds. So all right, we got them all hooked on the flats. Everything's nice and tight and pushed down. Take our handy dandy impact gun, kind of hold these fingers in there so they don't move. I ran out of room. She is just about off. Got to go a couple more clicks, so back that out just a little bit. There we go. By far the easiest way to pull a pulley off of an LS based motor. So I got to tell you guys, you got to get one of these and just modify your crank bolt because it is fantastic. Okay, so we got the timing cover off here. Now we got the crank pulley off. You can see that I did drill this crank out on both sides with a jig, cool little jig I bought back in the day. Next step, we're going to go ahead and pull the oil pump off and pull the timing gear off, and then go ahead, we'll be able to yank this cam out. Okay guys, so I pulled the cam retainer plate off here. Let's see. And there was a weird chunk of metal, like hard as hell steel, and it was wedged in there between the cam. And there's a bunch of galling and stuff on here, so I'm not really sure why, and that thing actually looks a little chewed up, so I'm not sure if what was going on was the cam walking a little bit and that's what ate it up, or that's what put metal into the motor. Timing gear, I mean, there's some grooves in it, but I'm not really sure why that was there. So that could have been a problem. It could have got some metal shavings inside the motor, and that's what ended up getting the cam, or getting in the rod bearing and eating that rod bearing. But we're gonna go ahead and get the cam pulled out. Okay, so to pull the cam out here, we want to be careful, obviously, not to nick cam bearings. However, this motor is trash, so it's gonna end up, motor's not trash, but it's had metal ran through it. So it's gonna get new cam bearings and everything else. You can get a long bolt bolted in here and do all that. You can get a long screwdriver or a pry bar, and then we're just going to go ahead and just kind of walk the cam out as we go out. And you can take a break every time you get to this journal again, because now it's resting on all the other journals in the cam. And then now it's coming out, we just go ahead and nice and easy grab hold of the cam and pull the cam out. Easy as that. And everything looks really good on the cam. All the journals look great, so we don't think we have to worry about spun cam bearings or anything like that. This guy right here can be reused. We're gonna go ahead and get it cleaned up and reuse it. All right, so we all know that running joke about don't look at your cam bearings, because if you do, they're gonna be bad. and that's a sloppy mechanics technique on it. And I did look at my cam bearings when I put this cam in, and I saw that and I go, oh shit, these things are roached, because we were down to the brass on them, but everything is fine with them. Obviously, now that this block's getting tore down and stripped down, we're gonna go ahead and put new bearings in it throughout. So, not a big deal, but this is what everybody talks about and jokes about and says, hey, don't look at your cam bearings because they're gonna be bad. This thing had a couple thousand miles on it, maybe, it might have had 4,000 miles on it tops. And cam bearings don't look any worse than they did when I put them in, besides that extra bearing material that's embedded now into the cam bearing. So, you know, hey, just don't look at it and it won't be a problem. All right, guys, so now that we have the cam out of the motor, we got the timing cover off, we got all the journals loosened up, got the back cover off the motor. We're gonna go ahead and set the journals aside. We're gonna lift the cam out and we're gonna go ahead and put the journals back in just so nothing happens to them. We don't wanna drop them or get them dinged up or anything. All right, we got the crank out. The bearings all look pretty good. There's some pitting in here, which I'm pretty sure that's from metal going through the motor, and it kind of embedded itself into the crank itself, which is not what we want to see, but the crank looks pretty good. I think it should be able to be cleaned up and polished. All right, that's going to be a wrap for blowing the LS1 apart. I have got this thing tore down. I got to take the adapter plates off, the motor mounts off, but this basically tore down as far as we can go. I had a short block lined up to go pick up tomorrow. However, it sold last night, so I've got to go get a new one lined up, and we got to get this thing put back together because we need to get the motor back in this thing, because the old Shevelle takes up a lot of space in the paint booth. So that being said, that's going to be a wrap for this one. Thanks for watching, and on the next one, or maybe next two, I don't know, one of them, we're going to go ahead and get this thing put back together, and we're going to go beat on her. Yeah, bud. So don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment down below, and hey, check out our website, ftpspeedshop.com, pick up some merch, and we'll see you on the next one.